Welcome, everybody.
Hello, everyone. Wow, I can't believe how many people are so punctual. Look at you all.
And from all over the world.
That is so exciting.
Okay, we'll just let everybody come on before we can get started.
I love the way that our world, it's always been a small world and it's got smaller, but it's got even smaller again.
Certainly is.
Digital connections, yeah.
We can chat in the, if you turn your chat box on your Zoom window. Here we go. Michelle. Wow, all the way from Atlanta.
Oh, hello.
Oh, Denise is near Atlanta as well. Here we go. Everyone's found the chat panel. We'll just wait. We have a lot to enter in today, and they're all starting to stream in now. And we have people from Tennessee. It's Lisa and Sandra from Bendigo. Welcome, welcome.
Big welcome.
Rhode Island.
Yes. One day again, Tracey, we will get to go back to the US.
I know. I think it's a long way in the future, though.
It is. I'm not sure when it's going to happen, but you know.
I know. And in the meantime, this is what we do. This is how we can meet with each other and chat with each other and still learn and have that socialization with other keen quilters and sewers.
We're all mad, really, aren't we?
I know.
Quilters, sewers, creators, whatever it is that we do, we're all we're a special breed.
We are. And so many are doing so much more sewing. It certainly kept me very busy, that's for sure.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, well and truly. With supplies. Okay, we have quite a few here.
You know, Tracey, can while we've got the video happening, can people download this brochure still, or is that something? So if you haven't already downloaded this brochure, it is on the waiting page. It's a great resource for you to get, and I will be talking more about that. It's so wonderful to have so many of you wanting to join us today. It's very exciting, very exciting. I would say though, here at Wonderfil's head office here in Melbourne, Australia, we are expecting 4 pallets of stock to arrive. And so if you see me kind of looking out the window, it might be because we've got a truck arriving and 4 pallets to be unloaded. So I'm very fortunate to be here. And when I'm planning some of my creating, I will have a little wander around the showroom here and go, what thread do I need for that project?
Oh, it's a lot of fun when you have the full range on hand, that's for sure. You would have way more, obviously, but that's why I enjoy stocking so many ranges of Wonderfil thread as well. But that being said, I have a lot of thread. I don't just have Wonderfil. I have
a lot of thread,
tubs and tubs of lots of brands of threads for all different reasons. No one brand can have every color or every style. So consequently, I'm a bit of I think I'm more of a threadaholic than I am as a fabricaholic.
A fabricaholic or a threadaholic, yeah.
Oh, we have South Australia. We have Canberra, Rayleigh, Cheryl from Townsville, Vanessa, Queensland, Donna from Maryland.
Yeah, Colorado, Kimberly.
Connie, welcome, Connie. Connie's a great friend. She gets involved with a lot of my online groups and also with the Machine Quilting Academy membership group, the Gold membership group, which we'll talk about in a minute. Welcome, everybody, to Thread Education with Jennifer Moore. And my name is Tracey Browning, and I'm the director of the Machine Quilting Academy, which is a new venture that I launched last year. and it is still in its growing phases, but we are certainly increasing in both members and content that you can consume. And a brief introduction of me. I've been quilting on a long arm machine for well over 20 years now, and a domestic machine prior to that. And it's 16 years now since I've been the Australian dealer for A1 quilting machines, though I have owned other brands as well, and also the IntelliQuilter computerized system. And my biggest love is helping others succeed in their own businesses. So I love, everyone knows I love talking. I love supporting and mentoring those with who love machine quilting. And my biggest buzz is seeing you succeed in your own machine quilting, whether it just be for yourself or whether it is as a business. My background is in banking and business banking, so I've had a fair bit of experience there in helping people and guiding them on best practices and anything to do with running a business. So I created Machine Quilting Academy to do exactly that, but to more people, so that instead of the one-to-one that I've been doing now for 16 years to hundreds and hundreds of customers, now I can answer those questions and reach far more people and hopefully help more people be successful in their own machine quilting businesses. And with us today, okay, making sure with the webinar platform, this is a version of Zoom, and therefore you've got the chat. Most of you have found the chat. I believe you can also, if your name doesn't show up on the screen, you can right click or look at the more and rename yourself so that we do know your first name if you're going to write us a question so that we can answer you personally. So if you haven't got a name next to your little icon there, please go in and pop it in there so that we know we can answer you nicely. That would be lovely. And also just yeah, I'll be checking the chat. As you can see, I'm looking at the chat at the minute. If you do have any questions, please pop them in there. We have some breaks in the presentation where we will go through them and try to answer them so that you can understand exactly what's going on. Next of all, I'd like to welcome Jennifer Moore. Now, you may, if you've read her bio on the waiting page and when you first registered, and she's the Australian designer and developer behind Asta and Anne. Very successful business. She's just done a big show online with a craft TV show in the UK. I haven't actually asked you how well that went, but I know there's been about 3 Aussies so far that's done that in the recent months, and it's very exciting, that's for sure. It's that the TV shopping network type show, but for craft. It's very addictive when you go in there and see all these different people selling on this shopping network. It was amazing. Now, according to your bio, Asta and Anne was born from a desire to combine your love of fashion, sewing, fabrics, buttons, ribbons, laces and trims, all types of embellishment. So I would love to see your sewing room in the collection.
I probably refer to myself now a bit more as an embellisher than anything, because it's kind of like anything that I can, get my hands on. I'll add something to it.
So, and you've always worked in the textile industry, manufacturing, wholesale and retail. So can you give us a bit more of a background on where that all came from and the experiences you've had?
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I grew up in country Victoria. I actually grew up on a dairy farm. So it's like, this kind of industry is so far removed from a dairy farm, but I grew up in a little town And I was very fortunate in that my first job was working in the office of a small clothing manufacturer. And that was a small business in the country town. And they threw me in the deep end on learning every aspect of that business. And I kind of call it, I refer to it now, or look at it as being my unofficial apprenticeship, if you like, in that I got to learn about how all the machines worked. I worked alongside the pattern maker and all that kind of stuff. We did quality control, everything. And then I did the wages, and there was everything that was involved in that business. I got to do it. So that was my background there. And then I moved to, the big smoke, as we like to call it, or the city, and then got a job working in another fabric place where I did retail initially, and then moved into wholesale. And from the wholesale side of that, I then started doing more buying and got to travel overseas quite a lot, searching for ribbons and laces and trims and all sorts of interesting things, and purchasing fabrics to then and trims to then on sale in the wholesale industry. And it was from there that I got the idea to start Aster and Ann. I was always adding trims to clothing, and I had this thought, well, why can't we actually, add them to our other accessories like our handbags and that type of thing? But because most things are already made up, you can't do that. Sorry, I'm going to talk a bit more about that later. So, our kits are all pre-cut and flattened, all that kind of stuff. So we'll talk more about that later if you're interested.
That's fine. And then you did say that you met Andrew, the president of Wonderfil Specialty Threads at Australian Quilt Market. And Andrew decided that he really, really wanted you on board. Is that right?
He did. We got talking. So our booths were side by side, and he got talking. He was like, I like what you're doing. And I'm like, well, I like your threads. And we just talked from there. And yes, then he was looking for someone who could help here in Australia. And I have now been doing this for a couple of years, and we're growing, we're building. And I was very fortunate in that very early on, Andrew got me to go to head office in Calgary in Canada. And I got to go and do some training and hang out there with my colleagues, my counterparts over there, if you like. And so that was a whole lot of fun. So I have gleaned a lot from Andrew, and I'm sure there is still more for me to learn as well. But some of you may know Andrew, but if you ever get him started on talking about threads, just listen. And that's what I do. Whenever I hear him, I'm like, oh, okay, what's he saying now? Take on board what he's got to say. So, yeah.
I have to admit, I met him in about 2008 or 9 at Sydney Quilt Market, back when we had them. And that was my introduction to Wonderfil. I believe that was the first time that he and Barry had were introducing Wonderfil to Australia. And I had my long arm machine on the floor as well. And they came up to me and said, can we please put this thread on your machine and see how it behaves? And they put this tiny spool of gold metallic on the machine. And I was stitching out a pantograph pattern using the IntelliQuilter at only 1.5 inches high. So it was very tiny, lots of changes of direction, and it performed beautifully. And basically, they sold me on it. And I actually went home with the entire rack of Invisifil at that point, so the entire range. Because I didn't want to pack it up and take it home. And I thought, oh, I have my vehicle, and it just could fit. I squeezed it in at the top, and that came home with me, and that was the beginning of my love affair with a Wonderfil. Not that I don't have lots of other brands, and I do. I have a lot of different brands of threads, but Wonderfil is the brand that I've chosen to actually sell retail. So that was that. So now we know how you actually came to take on this role here in Australia. Wonderfil has been a wonderful sponsor over the years as well for other events that I used to run, and so I do give kudos to the company for really getting involved with the Australian market, specifically for here. And I know they're heavily involved in the USA and Canada and all over the world at events as sponsors and supporters of events where the consumer will be using their thread. Just makes sense, doesn't it?
Yep.
Okay, we're going to move on to, I'll just check from any questions. Hi, Cecile. Yes, it's great. I chose this time. This is the time that I usually run a webinar so that our friends in North America can join in at a reasonable hour, and Australians can still get here as well. It's not quite so easy when it's a Monday for Australia if you are working in a different job, but that's why this is being recorded, and you will get a link afterwards and an email once I get it re-uploaded, and you can watch this at any time. So don't worry about that if you have to head off. We hope it won't take up too much of your time, but yeah, but that's what it is. Okay, I am going to now share my screen. Jen's got a slideshow presentation, and she's got a couple actually, but the first one is going to be on my screen. Whoops, let's go back to the front. Here we go. So you can see the slide. Jen, over to you.
Okay. All right. Well, I will start off with saying that I did kind of pinch this presentation from Andrew. So I've just put my name on the front of it, but that's okay. So I will refer to it as a guide, and but I will just use my words, my language in presenting this to you. But what some of the things that we like to talk about with choosing threads is definitely the aspects that you need to consider when you are choosing threads. Tracey has explained to me that some of you are business owners, some of you are more just doing it for yourselves. So I will touch on a little bit about, some of the things that you can consider if you are a business owner, what you need to think about, when you are looking at your thread. And we do know, and I have had a little bit of an experience, little bit of experience, with using a long arm machine. I have to say they're fun. They are a whole lot of fun. And I'm looking forward to having a bit more of a play with the machine that we have here in the office, but they are a lot of fun. But we do know that some of the things that, can be a little bit tricky with long arm machines, and I will be honest and say I haven't used a whole range of them, and I know there are a range of machines out there, but we can, from what I've heard, there are some people that say their machine's a little temperamental and they don't want to use a different thread all the time. So some of those things are things that you can consider by choosing, one thread and just go with the color range that you can get from that range of thread and that type of thing. So you're not actually swapping over for different things. That's more if you are looking at as a business point of view. So we have threads available that you can use that will go across a whole host of different types of fabrics and things, but where you've got the color range that will take you through there. So with some of the things that you need to consider with choosing your threads is, of course, the cost, I guess the color range, we talk about tension adjustment, breakages, cleanliness, that kind of thing. So we really want to essentially empower you guys with a thread that's not going to cause you any problems and that you are going to be able to use for your customers and to have, a really nice finish to the quilt that you are quilting. So we do know that, of course, the whole purpose of quilting is to be stitching the layers of fabrics together and creating an incredible different look. So for me, I did start off in, I guess, the fashion fabric side of things and then ventured into this industry. And, one of the first things that I did learn was when we talk about patchwork and quilting, they are two completely different things. So quilting, we are essentially, as you know, of course, I'm not telling you anything new, but we are putting those layers of fabric together. And Oh my word, I have to say, some of you ladies are just absolutely incredible with what you do and what you can create with quilting. So we have, yes, the patchwork side of it, but the quilting is like just magnificent. My hat is off to some of you with just the incredible things that you can create with quilting. And at Wonderfil, we have a whole range of threads that you can use to create these different looks. Sorry, I'm going back to this slideshow. Tracey, if you want to change the page, we might just kind of skip over a little bit some of these things. So we know, the whole reason of why we're doing quilting is to sandwich the layers together. So from a business side of things, if you are doing this as a business, we suggest, our biggest suggestions are these 4 threads that you can see there now. And I was planning on showing some samples of thread, but they might be a little hard. I think we'll do that one in the break. But Ultima is a cotton wrapped polyester thread that we have. So it gives you the strength of the polyester, but it has the look and finish of a cotton thread. And that is available in 60 different colors, but it's a great 40 weight utility thread that you can use across all different types of your quilting. Our master quilter is a polyester thread, and it is a cottonized polyester thread, and that is made to be that way, so that it's got that little bit of texture to it. So it's not like you would look at a polyester or nylon thread where it's just like a fishing line or anything. It's got texture to it, so it behaves more like a cotton thread, but you've got the strength of a polyester. Our Fabulux thread is a 40 weight trilobal polyester, and its beautiful color range of variegated threads. And I have to admit, I have a bit of a love affair with Fabulux, and Tracey, I know, is now stocking our long arm cones of Fabulux. I absolutely love the neon colors. So I don't know, Tracey, if you've tried any of the neon colors in Fabulux.
Yes, I have.
Yeah, I love the neons. They are just this saturation of color, which is just incredible. And one of the quilts that I did get to see when I was in Calgary was in the showroom there. Part of this quilt was just had some, it's really just lines done in the neon Fabulux, but it looked sensational. It's just that incredible little highlight of a thread color that really stood out to me. Our other thread that is a good utility one too is our Tootie, and that's our 50 weight long staple Egyptian cotton thread. We do have Tootie and confetti as our solid colours. But for those of you that don't know anything about our threads, all Wonderfil's cotton threads are what we call double gassed. So Wonderfil has their own factory, and everything that we have is produced in our own factory. Our cotton thread, we only ever purchase long staple thread, and mostly from Egypt. And the long staple gives it the extra strength. And with having our own factory, after it is spun and dyed, then it goes through a gas chamber and burns off 80% of the lint. Some companies will leave it there after it's burnt off the 80% of the lint. With having our own factory, we then put that remaining 20% that's left back through the gas chamber again, and that takes off the remaining 20%. So it is virtually a lint-free thread. So that's why we genuinely say it is virtually a lint-free thread. You should try saying that fast. I first tried confetti for myself, of course, a few years ago, and I wound my bobbin. And after I'd finished winding the bobbin, I was like, oh my goodness, what they say is true. It really is true. Previous to that, I was using other threads, and when I'd wind my bobbin, there would be all these little bits of lint that would come flying off. And after I tried the confetti, I was like, no, it's so true what they say. So that's a big factor in what we do with our thread. So with each of those threads, when you stitch them out, you get a really nice definition of the thread. So we're looking at just some images here where we've got a Fabulux and Confetti, Ultima and Master Quilter stitched out. So they're kind of giving you, like I said, a utility look. They're at the middle of the range kind of finish there. And I know it's a bit hard to see from the slide, and I wish I had actual samples here, but you are seeing there, yeah, no, you can't really see it, I'm sorry, but Fabuluxes are variegated, but I will show some other samples after. So with, we've talked about a little, sorry, I'm showing you those there. Some of the other things, I guess, that we want to talk about too, if you are running your long arm business, if you are running it as a business, is, I guess, the cost of the thread, the color range, whether you've got any tension adjustments, breakages, and, cleanliness and that kind of thing. And as I talked about just before with the cotton thread, it being virtually lint free, there is really nothing there. But I know from using the machine that you do need to clean the bobbins out and all the regularly and all that kind of stuff when you change your bobbins. I will give you one little funny story for myself. You can laugh at me. I was using the machine that we have, and I had my deco bob in the bottom, and I had 2D on the top, and I was stitching away, and that was all good. And then I had a breakage somewhere, and I couldn't remember why, and I was still learning at this stage, and I couldn't get it to work. And I tried and I tried and I tried, and I thought, okay, no, I know it's not the thread. I can't be blaming the thread, right? So it's not the thread, it's not the bobbin, what is it? So then I unthreaded it all right from the very start, and then re-threaded it, and it's like, who knew that you had to have that little hole where the needle is? I don't know what it's called, but the hole that's just in front of where you thread the needle, that was really important. And so once I had that threaded, I was like, oh yay, it's perfect now. Sorry, that was my little experience with trying to get my long arm machine working, and I kept thinking, no, it can't be the thread. But so anyway, that's okay. So we will skip over this next slide, I think, Tracey, and come to the next one, where we are looking at other things that you can consider when you are choosing a long arm thread, and that really is the weight and the color and what the thread composition is. And I have, as Tracey has put on the front on the landing page for today's webinar, there is a brochure there that you can download, and that looks like this. That's the outside of it. And if I was seeing you in real life, I would be handing these out. But inside here, it is a handy little reference to all the different long arm threads that we do have. And it also gives you suggestions for needle sizes and all that kind of thing, and uses. There is another guide I think Tracey's put up as well.
Yes, and I'll also be emailing out after this has finished links again, so that you can download both. So that'll be in your emails. So please check your emails later this afternoon, and I'll give you some direct links to download both of the brochures at that time.
Perfect, because that one does give you suggested uses as well. So we're looking now at, or we're just going to run through a little bit, then we've got different weight, and what the different weight and the different fabric or composition of the thread actually does for you. At the next slide, you will see where we have Invisifil. So up on the top left-hand side, our Invisifil is our 100 weight cottonized polyester thread. Now that is super fine, super duper duper fine, and I know Tracey likes Invisifil because she's had it.
That's my favorite.
She's had it for a lot of years now, and we did have a little practice at this, but don't know that you can see that. But Invisifil is super fine. So 100 weight, and as you can see there, pictured, you can see the thread, but it doesn't stand out too much. Then we look at the confetti, which we've talked about, or confetti and tutti being the 50 weight cotton thread. And you get, so we're looking a little thicker there. And you can see then the difference just between the confetti and the Invisifil, how much definition you're going to get when you are quilting. And then when you look again at spaghetti and accent, they are 12 weight, and we're looking at this kind of weight. So by adding the heavier weight threads in there, you're getting extra texture and dimension to your quilting. I personally love spaghetti. I have a major love affair with spaghetti. I use it for a lot of things that I do, and I think it just gives a really, really awesome finish or a look. It gives for a lot of things that I do is more applique, but just by popping that on there, it is fabulous. It also almost gives it like a hand applique look. But that's what you can get when you're using a heavier thread. When I've used the spaghetti on our machine here, I did need to loosen the tension slightly, and Tracey, you would be more au fait with what you do tension wise, but I know I needed to just a tiny bit loosen the tension off. And with, of course, using a heavier weight thread, you do need to make sure that you've got a bigger sized a needle. So I think and like an 18 to use with the spaghetti.
Yeah, with most long arms, I usually recommend we stick to 18s for nearly all threads.
Okay.
Finer threads, yep, you can go down to 16s. Depending on what style of quilting you're doing. If you're doing really, really heavy background fill and you're working very, very slow, you can go down to a much smaller needle. But most we do need to remember with long arm machines, they're multi-directional when you're stitching, which means your needle is going to flex in all directions, 360 degrees. And the finer the needle, the more that needle is going to flex. So the finer the needle, the slower you probably need to go to allow the hook to pick up the bobbin thread correctly. Keep in mind that if you time your machine to a specific size needle, it usually allows you to go up one size or down one size without having to retime again. If you're going to be making a really big difference, like using an 18 down to a 12, you will struggle to form stitches because the finer needle will have too big a gap between the needle and the hook. So you'll get skip stitches. So most of us have our machines timed to an 18, which allows us to go up to a 20 when we really need to. Feels like a crowbar, but all holes do close up. And that's ideal for the very, very thick threads or metallic threads, or those that are not quite as smooth, slivers and fancy threads. Then down to a 16. A lot of people use 16 as standard. But yeah, 18s is pretty standard. Now I will cut in here as well. There's a question with the tutti and hopefully you can answer this, Jen. With the tutti and the Fabulux, what is the color change length? Are they regular or non-regular color changes?
Oh, okay. They are non-regular. So one of the things that I did find out when I went to Calgary and did some threaducation was that the way that Wonderfil dyes our variegated threads is they're not dip dyed or anything like that. So there's no uniformity, if you like, to them. They are sorry, Andrew did this illustration. So it's like they're inkjetted. So the dye is inject into them that way, and they are random dyed. And because they are random dyed, you do get a short color change. And that is the same with every variegated thread that we have. That's the way they are dyed. So that it's like I said, I think really it's the best way to try to describe it is that they are inkjetted. So it was really that they go through a what's the word? Sorry. I have a mental blank. It's kind of like a supermarket trolley conveyor belt. Sorry, that's the word. Like a conveyor belt, and then the dye is random squirted into the thread that way, and that's how it gets the variegation. So no kind of uniformity to them at all. I can't tell you exactly what the length of the color change would be. I have, lots of samples of them here, but it's random.
So the length is random, as well as no regular pattern of the color changes.
No. And when you do see a variegated thread, the best way to look at what the color change is going to be like is from the top of the spool like that. So I'm not sure if you can see that there. Yeah. So you can see the color change. So don't look at it this way. Take the Wonder Guard off. So don't look that way, look that way. And then you get an idea of what the color change is going to be like. So different ones have got, different amounts of color change through them, or different colors. Most of our threads will have up to 4 or 5 different colors through them. And then depending on, the shades, which you can see there. So this is quite subtle. And then you get others that are a lot more dramatic. Yeah.
Okay.
Question.
Mindy's asking, not seeing the listing for the accent 12 weight thread on the handout. She loves 12 weight as well.
Oh, okay. All right. So we will need to then, I don't know, Tracey, that I sent you this link to this brochure.
No, you didn't.
No. Okay. So this is the brochure with everything. So it's a much bigger brochure. The other one was more specific to long arm threads. But of course, most of our threads you can use on your long arm machine. So I will email you this one, Tracey, so you can share that with everyone.
I can add that one as well. I actually had a strong comment as well when I first got this brochure from Jen, is that where's the spotlight?
Yeah, you did too, yes.
Yes, I love the spotlight thread, which is all the metallic threads and all the metallic colors on my long arms. It runs beautifully. That's what sold me on Wonderfil thread right in the very beginning.
Yeah, the spotlight is amazing. And I guess now's as good as time as any, right, Tracey, to show you some samples.
Yep, fair enough. I've got you on the screen, so try and do that one.
Talking about spotlight, this has been done all with a spotlight thread. Can you see that well enough there?
Yes, that looks great.
Yeah. Oh, it's beautiful. Very fortunate to have some samples here in the office. This was done by a lady in New Zealand. But that is all spotlight. And I did meet at Quilt Market a couple of years ago a lady by the name of Terry Shern, and she is another lover of our spotlight thread, and she will use it in the top, but she will also use it in her bobbin. So for doing her art quilts, she puts spotlight in the bobbin. I'm like, are you for real, Terry? Like, do you really do that? And then having a look at all the quilts she had on display, it was like, oh my goodness, it works. And I had a customer here call me up saying, I've got this customer, he's got I think it was an angel or something on her quilt, and she wanted to make it sparkle. She said this customer wants it to sparkle in the quilting. She was asking me what I suggested, and I said, well, yeah, I've seen Spotlight done. And so this customer said, all right, give me some Spotlight. I said, well, you can do it in the bobbin as well. So she tried it, and then she called me up and said, I've done it. It worked beautifully, and my customer was really, really happy. So you can do.
Okay, Jennifer, from Kimberly, what's the difference between spaghetti and accent threads?
Okay, so spaghetti is a cotton thread, and I was looking for accent. I don't think I've put accent in here. Accent is rayon, so it's shiny. Sorry, I have a whole basket full of, I'll show you my little basket of threads here. So you can see a bunch of things there, but I can't see an accent. But it's a rayon thread, kind of like, so this is our razzle, but accent is rayon. So it's a nice shiny thread, whereas spaghetti is our cotton thread, and so it has more of a matte finish. So
and they're the same weight?
They are both a 12 weight. Yep.
There you go.
Yep. So with spaghetti, it's sister, brother, twin, whatever you like to call. Fruity is the variegated equivalent in the cotton. So fruity is, yes, 41 different variegated colours available in that. Accent also has variegated colours as well. So
yes,
you've just got shiny.
Mm-hmm. I love using my best use case for spaghetti in the long arm is when a customer gives me a quilt with lots of plain alternate blocks, like they're a bit of a feature and want to put something special in there. And having a computerized system for those that have it is wonderful to go find those pictorial blocks that you can stitch out. So basically it looks like an embroidery. Without doing the handwork, you can just get the computer program and being very careful with the thicker 12 weight thread, as long as you have your starts and stops, you do not and bury those rather than any backtracking, because it's far too visible. And you can get a beautiful design stitched out, and it looks like an embroidery design.
Which is absolutely amazing. So
so it's a great way to promote something just special for that particular customer's quilt.
Yeah, absolutely. On the next slide, Tracey, you can see this has been quilted with spaghetti. So with the spaghetti, we've actually, the threads showing out here. So that's the feature. And like what you were just talking about with doing your embroidery, all of these circles are all done with spaghetti thread, which is pretty amazing. And then when you look at the one on the other side, I don't know if you want to get that slide up or you want me to hold that up, but that has been that's been done with Invisifil. Sorry, page 7.
Yep, there we go.
Yeah. So you can get a better look. So the one on the left hand side has been the big circles have all been done with spaghetti, and so you can see those ones there. And then the other quilt has been done with Invisifil, and so Invisifil you can get your more fine detail, so you get all of the more intricate patterns happening there. The big thing with you've got something to show us, Tracey? The big thing with Invisifil is that you're not actually adding bulk and weight into your quilt either. So I don't know if you've found that, Tracey, with your quilt that I don't know, you can show.
Okay, I'll just bring this up so that everyone else can see. I just have to change this screen. All right, so this quilt is a very old one, and just trying to see if you can see it. That is using the Spotlight is the gold metallic, but the background is actually a purple Invisifil.
It's beautiful.
Right.
good.
So I'll hand it back to you now. And
Yeah. So the Invisifil, you can get more finer detail. So spaghetti, we're making the thread talk. With Invisifil, we're making your quilting talk. So it's just sinking more into the background as the thread. And that's probably the biggest difference between the two threads that we've got there. So we've got thread making a statement, and then thread not making a statement, taking a background, and then the quilting is standing out. So yeah, I love the look of the actual quilting standing out, because I think you ladies are just incredible with what you can do too. So Invisifil is a great way to go there. The next slide you can see, and this is a really cute quilt. I have seen this one up close and personal. The chicken wire has all been created with Invisifil. I think it looks incredible.
yep.
So
I do have a question from Angela. When using the 12 weight thread, do you recommend putting it in the bobbin as well?
no, I would do the confetti in the bobbin. That's what I would do. I mean, we do talk about, and we'll come to other bobbins and things later, but with the 12 weight on the top, I would do the 50 in the bobbin. I don't know what you've experienced, Tracey. Is that what you would go with?
On my long arm, I'm a pretty much Invisifil or Deco Bob permanently in the bobbin, no matter what size thread I have on top. I find the finer the thread in the bobbin, the easier it is to balance the tension on a long arm when it's multi-directional machine. It's a little bit different on a domestic machine because things are controlled that little bit more. I don't know why I've suddenly got those marks on the screen. But yes, that's my preference. But the confetti is a 50 weight cotton and nice and fine as well. So that helps.
So yeah, I guess it depends on the look that you want to have. We definitely recommend that you use the bobbins in everything, for everything. Yeah. and I have had lots of people tell me that I'm not going to use anything other than a bobbin, a Deco Bob bobbin. That's just it, no matter what. Or with it. So we were going to talk about bobbins in a little bit, but we can talk about bobbins now. But with the Deco Bob bobbins, they are the factory. The tension is already being factory wound. They look like this. So you've got this beautiful factory tensioned bobbins that are all pre-wound. You don't have to worry about obviously winding them yourself. So there's no kind of issues with any of the winding. And with the Deco Bob, because it is an 80 weight, and again the cottonized polyester, it kind of tends to, like Invisifil, I think translucent would be a good word to describe Deco Bob and Invisifil when you're using it in the back, because it does just blend in. And with having sorry, excuse me, I might just have a little quick. Sorry, with having the bobbin in the back and you're matching that, so you're kind of matching your bobbin to the top, so that if anything does come through, you're not seeing anything. Like when we look at, so we'll skip over the thread color there. we'll come back to, we might come back to some other pages, but you can see on one of the other pages, Tracey, I think if you can get to page 14, when we're looking at using the Deco Bob and the difference that it makes when you have it in there. So the second, one more page, I think.
No, which one?
Yeah, that one. Yes.
That's the one you want? Yep.
That's the one. Yeah.
Okay, it was slide 16.
Oh, sorry. I got some different numbers on mine. So with the Deco Bob, sorry, we've got that the very first image on the left hand side. We have our cotton in the top and the Deco Bob in the bottom, and you can't see anything there. So that's one of the big things that we suggest with using the Deco Bob, is that it does make life easier for you. There you can just match it to either the background of the quilt top, or you can match it to the background of your backing, and then sorry, I've lost my train of thought because I saw a comment on how many colours and I lost where I was going. There are currently 35 colours in the Deco Bobbin range, with more coming. Sorry, I'll have to go back and get my train of thought. But with the bobbins, we have them in, this is the M size, and that's a box of 24 bobbins. We do have some multi-packs where you get 4 colours in a packet. They're a good way to purchase them. You get 4 different colours, so you end up with 6 bobbins of 4 different colours. And a good way for you to try them out if you're a bit like, yeah, not sure. There's somebody else that I was speaking with recently, and I said, I stopped using my bobbins for a while, and then I went back to them. I'm like, well, why did I stop? Because they're so easy. So they are. And here in Australia, I'm not quite sure what it's like for the rest of the world, but here we are continually ordering more of these to come in, because we're just sending them out all the time there. And I know many quilters here that do their edge-to-edge quilting as a business. They will pop the Deco Bob in the bobbin. They will either use the confetti or 2D on the top, and that's it.
Yep,
that's all they use. They don't offer anything else. Yeah.
Jen, Angela's asking, is there any glue used in the pre-wound bobbins?
No, nothing at all. No. The biggest complaint that I've had from people with our bobbins is that they've got too much thread on them. Sorry. And that's probably more from the domestic machines. But no, there is no glue at all. No glue, no sizing, no filling, no nothing. They are purely just the Deco Bob thread on the plastic bobbin.
Yep.
I use these on my machine all the time, the domestic one. Yeah.
And I think that's probably, there's other pre-wound bobbins that you can purchase out there, and I used to use them a little bit as well, which I used to love the bottom line from Superior, for example. And then there's Magna Glide do a pre-wound, but some of them have cardboard sides, and sometimes you take that off or not, and there's different reasons to use the different ones, and you try them all and work out what you like using. Now, how many colours were in the bobbins? Did you say there were 20?
There's 35 currently.
35 colours?
Every colour that Deco Bob comes in is available in the pre-wound bobbins.
Yep.
And there are, I think I can tell you these, but there's more colours of Deco Bob coming out soon.
Oh, that means I've got to buy more.
It does. Yeah. Sorry, there's the colour card. But yes, more colours coming out.
Excellent. Now that you've just showed us the colour card, and is that available for anybody to get those colour cards for the different ranges? And can they get them from you, and how much?
They can get them from me. They can certainly purchase them through you as well, Tracey.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I can sell them to you too. Off the top of my head, I think we're looking at $6 or $7 for a card. But we do have, there is actual thread on all of our colour cards. So, which is why we have a cost to them, because they do have thread on them. So we have colour cards available in all of the different threads. Now that's Mirage, and we haven't talked about Mirage, but that's a 30 weight, another rayon thread.
Beautiful. And having, as a long arm quilter running a business, having the colour cards means that you don't have to buy the entire range like moi has. And you can pull the colour card out and match your customer's quilt top, and they can be there to help make those decisions on threads. It's a way of gradually building your inventory. If it's a color that you don't think you would use again and your customer is absolutely insisting upon it, you can charge them for that, to order in that cone of thread, and they will then own that cone of thread, and you can hand it back to them with their quilt if you don't believe you're going to use it again for any other customer quilts. So that is certainly an option as well. Now, what happened to my chat? I've just gone and lost it.
With particularly our excuse me, our confetti and tutti threads, we have those available on just 1,000 meter spool, which this is not one, but it would look like that. So I guess if 1,000 meters is going to be enough to do one quilt, you could certainly do it that way as well.
Yeah, usually more than enough. I tend to only buy in those sizes. I can have a bigger variety of colors by buying the smaller the spools. Now, another question is the Deco Bob bobbins. Are they? Do they come in both M and L size?
They do.
There you go. Indeed. So Emily, you can purchase them in the L size as well.
Yes, so we have the L sizes in boxes like these as well. And then for your domestic machines, we have the class 15 as well.
Right, so to clarify, Deco Bob comes in for your domestic machines, class A. They've got a size L for the smaller bobbins in long arm machines, and size M for the higher capacity M size bobbin cases for those machines. Most long arms now have the larger one, but there's still Prodigy and some of the APQS and Knoltings still come in the L size. So that's very, very convenient. It means you get more thread on a bobbin when they're pre-wound than when you wind them yourself, which means you don't have to stop and change a bobbin as often. That's what I certainly love, is having the extra thread on those. You know, if you can imagine you're using a 40 weight thread in the top and you're putting the 80 weight Deco Bob in the bobbin, that means you get twice as much bobbin thread on that bobbin. You're using it, it's so much more economical as well.
It is. I think we might have skipped over some of those slides, but that is absolutely 100% correct. And that's where, if you wanted to, you could use Deco Bob on the top and in the bottom, and that makes it then a very economical quilting process because you've got a lot of thread. One of the other slides that we have got there, and it is a great illustration, is when you see sorry, excuse me, the cones. This is 2,500 meters of our 2D thread, and this is 2,000 meters of our Deco Bob. And you're looking at the different size cone, and you haven't got a lot of difference between the meterage that's actually on the cone, but that's the difference. When you look at this is a 6,500 meter cone of Deco Bob. So
you see that?
Yeah. So you got 2,500 meters here, 6,500 meters here, and 2,000 meters on this one. So the same thing goes, like, yes, very economical, and you get so much more thread on here too. Something else that you can consider too is adding an extra weight to your quilts. And what I did start to say before and lost my train of thought was when we're looking at the Invisifil Chook quilt, and I was with Andrew when he did this presentation. He had a quilt there that had been quilted in Invisifil. It was Invisifil, not Deco Bob, but Invisifil. And being that finer, lighter thread, it didn't actually add a lot of bulk into the actual overall quilt. I mean, sometimes when you pick up a quilt and you go, oh my goodness, that's so heavy. The Invisifil's not adding in weight because you're not putting, the weight in there, you're not adding to the overall weight of your quilt. Nothing wrong still with doing the confetti or the tootie, but if you were, if that was a factor for you, then definitely go the lighter weight thread.
Okay, another question from Ross. Hi, Ross, in the Barossa. Are the empty plastic bobbins recyclable?
Oh, I've never actually been asked that question. And I actually might need to do some, the plastic bobbins.
Yes.
Oh, a bobbin, sorry, I thought you're meaning the we would generally suggest no, that you don't use them to rewind. But on a domestic machine, I have tried to rewind a bobbin with them and they were okay. So if that's what your question is, if they're recyclable, meaning can you use them again? Possibly. I have got some other people that will wind hand threads onto them, and they will put their hand threads onto the bobbins and reuse them that way. So not necessarily recycling, but upcycling, so reusing them for a different purpose. But if that is your question, can you reuse them? Then we don't really suggest that you do that. Buy some more bobbins because you've got the tension pre-done. But I don't know, Tracey, have you ever tried to reuse your bobbins?
Yeah. To be really careful, the plastic will expand using an industrial bobbin winder. Yes.
Yeah.
But wind them exceptionally slowly with a maybe a looser tension if you're putting the Invisifil or Deco Bob back on them, because those threads are a little bit stretchy. If you have the tension tight, you'll never ever be able to wind them the same as what the purchased ones are. That's sort of pretty specialized, the way they get the amount of thread on there. But I would definitely, Deco Bob and Invisifil are also magnificent threads to use for hand applique and for English paper piecing. So if you want some variety of colors, I instead of just use the ends of or wind the colors you need on your plastic bobbins that have been used up to be able to carry with you in any hand working projects is what I would do for those.
Deco Bob's awesome for foundation paper piecing as well.
Yeah.
So multi-uses.
Yes.
There's lots of uses for the threads. So foundation paper piecing with Deco Bob is awesome. 1.8 stitch, and you can rip those papers out really easily. And again, it's not adding bulk to your overall quilt as well.
Great. Okay, do we want to go back to the slideshow?
I'd like to show you a couple of other samples before we go back there, I think.
Okay, I'll just get this back centered on the screen, or I'll stop sharing.
And can you see that? And this one has been done by a fellow Victorian here, so Michelle de Groot. She did this, and that's been done in Mirage.
Oh, just hang on a minute, Jen. I can't get your screen to come up.
Okay.
Keep talking, and it'll hop in.
Okay. So this has been done with just one color of Mirage. So you can see, hopefully here that the color change is irregular, and that it is a quick color change. And she's just created this. I did see her doing some of this live, but that is just one spool of thread.
Oh, it's still not showing on the screen. Why not?
No. Okay.
Oh, hang on. I'll go back to share screen, and that way we'll get it.
Okay.
There you go.
All right. So you can see that now. So that's Mirage. Color 24, I think that is off the top of my head. So you can see that the color change that is in there.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So that's that one. I've just got a couple of other little samples here, but just showing more of the variegated threads. So that's a little bit of Fabulux.
Yep.
There. So you can, what you were saying before, Tracey, as well, if you've got those empty spaces, use a variegated thread. Put that around. So you just see part of that. This is another one with Fabulux.
Beautiful. When you're using a variegated thread, peoples, you usually tend to choose a design that doesn't have any double stitching. Doesn't look quite so good. Now, Ross is just confirming recycling. He meant no, to get rid of them. Was there a...
Oh, okay. I have not been asked whether they are recyclable. I can find out what the plastic is made from and whether it is one of those ones that can go in the recycling. So I will have to ask that question. So I'll find out for you, Tracey, and I'll get back to you, and then maybe you can pass the information on to Ross.
I can do that. And Connie's also asking, with the smaller spools of thread, instead of the cones, are they placed different and threaded on a long arm? So I think the question there is, are they straight wound or cross wound?
Cross.
No, the smaller ones, they're cross wound?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. We're looking at confetti. Yep. There, I haven't got. Sorry, I've got so many different threads here, but not the ones that I want. But they are cross.
They're all cross wound. Any of the really tiny ones, the little sample ones, are they straight wound or cross wound?
All cross.
Everything's cross wound. Okay, so Connie, the thread needs to come off the end.
Yeah.
So that the spool or cone needs to be standing upright rather than horizontal.
Yeah. Not so much that way.
Yeah.
That one.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's right. For those. So for those that don't understand, they're all different types of thread out there. And if you can see on the spool that it's cross wound where it goes in different directions, can you just hold that spool up again, Jen, so we can see how the thread crosses over itself? Yeah. If it's straight wound, it would not look like that. It would just be, you need to actually turn it off the side and it would have to undo. Yep. Pull, no, not pulling from the end. The spool would rotate.
Yes.
If it was straight wound, and that's how. So a cross wound thread you can pull off the end, as Jen is doing right now. A straight wound spool of thread has to, the spool itself is rotating as it's coming off.
Yep.
So
with the, like, I do the same thing with my domestic machine. I have a spool holder, one of our thread tamers, and do it that way. If you are using these smaller cones on your machine and you're finding that it does come off too fast or anything like that, then our Wonder Guards are amazing, because you can wrap those around just loosely, and that works like your sock kind of thing there. And then when you're not using it, you can wrap it around tighter, and then that's great for storage.
Yep. A lot of people would be using thread nets. All our overlockers came with a thread net, or you can purchase thread nets as well, which does the same thing as the thread guard. Okay. If you haven't got those. And that's just to stop any slippery threads from pulling and slipping down and getting caught on anything. So it's not actually adding any tension at all. It's just controlling, especially the slippery, bouncy threads.
Yes. Yeah. So you just have it. Yeah. Works a treat.
Colleen O'Kane, she winds her applique threads on the plastic bobbins, and she winds them on her domestic machine for that, all her applique threads.
Oh, good idea. Yeah.
Susan's asking, she's finding she's getting fewer requests for variegated thread lately. Is that true for others? Pop it in the chat and we'll be able to see what everyone else is doing. Or that's the ideal question, actually, that we would be answering in our monthly Q&A lives with the Gold membership group in the Machine Quilting Academy. We have all sorts of chats with experienced quilters, both domestic and long arm, on just these types of topics. And Rayleigh is asking, are there any potential challenges with using Invisifil and Deco Bob, two slippery threads, and then creating a neat stitch? So I think you're meaning if you're going to use those in both top and bottom. And the only challenge I say with that is it creates a beautiful neat stitch. That's not the issue. The challenge is making sure that your starts and stops are firmly secured. When you have two slippery threads together, you would want to do a longer tie off or a longer row, or more stitches, tiny stitches, to make sure it doesn't come undone. That would be the only challenge, is to ensure that those threads are firmly secured at your starts and stops. But as far as creating a neat stitch is concerned, it's way easier with a finer thread than what it is with a thicker thread.
Yep, absolutely.
Yep. Same rules as Cecile with, do the same rules apply for cross wound and straight wound on a Handy Quilter Suite 16 free motion quilting? Absolutely, it's the same rules, whether it's a domestic machine, a sit down handy quilter, a long arm machine, any machine, industrial machine even. It's the different way the threads are wound on is how they need to come off that cone so they don't twist along the thread path.
Yeah, so always.
Yep.
Yes. Yep. I can see there's a lady who's asked Nikki the weight of Mirage. It's a 30 weight.
Okay. So, Joy's commented that everyone loves variegated threads. All her customers, and Joy is a prolific quilter.
There's a little bit of Mirage there.
That's lovely.
It's a great sample, this one. You get to see a few different colours all at the same time. So,
yep.
Yeah.
Jennifer, your mic is hard to hear, according to Deborah. Yeah, it's gone faint for me as well.
Oh, is it? Oh, I haven't changed anything. I haven't moved.
Now maybe you're just speaking a little bit more louder. I don't know. Okay, sorry. Now, is there anything on your presentation, Jen?
No, I think we're okay with some of that. One of the other threads we didn't really talk about, though, was Glamour. Being a 12 weight thread, and that's a special one because it's got it's a rayon thread and it's got one strand of metallic through it, so it gets a little bit of glitz in there. So if you're looking for something to put a bit of extra pop in there, then this is a great one to go with.
Have to say I haven't tried that one yet.
Ooh, you'll have to put that on your list, Tracey.
Oh, the list that never ever gets shorter.
I know.
Okay. Look. Okay, so just quickly, we've been going for quite a while. We don't have much longer to go. I've actually only allowed an hour and 30 for this, and we're up to an hour and 20. So we need to, wow. Yes, already. It's been a lovely chat. Now, we didn't move on to much of your Asta and Anne products, but we'll have a real quick, can you just give us a real quick demo on some of the things, and then we'll go through some of the special offers that we have for anybody that's watching this today.
Okay, so if you're not at all familiar with Asta and Ann, I came up with this idea, as I started to say a little bit earlier. There are pre-cut felt kits. Everything is pre-cut, and they come with all the relevant hardware and all that kind of thing. The idea is, because they are pre-cut and flat, that you get to do whatever you like with them. Now, this is one of my designs, so it does make up into a bag that looks like, well, not quite like that. It has gusset pieces in there, but this I did do on our long arm quilting machine. It's the very first one that I had a go at doing. So I won't say that my stitching was, or my design was the absolute best or anything like that, but it is a 92 centimeter long piece of felt, and I loaded that onto the machine and then appliqued down those circles. So they're kind of a fun thing that you can do that's, something different and away from your regular quilting, and you can have a bit of fun with playing around with those. This one was created by, do you know Jackson Cook, Tracey?
Yes, I met Jackson.
Yes, young gentleman, excuse me. Young gentleman, I think he would have been 17 when he created this one. And that's just some free motion that he did using 2D there, but that's what he's done on my kit here. So everything is in there, the magnetic closure, the handle things. You can have a look on the website, which is just astarandan.com.au. In the slide presentation they did have, but maybe we can do it another time. This was done by another lovely lady by the name of Lizzie. She did this just free motion on a sit down machine. So I had appliqued that, and then she did the quilting in there for me. So kind of a fun thing to do, whether you want to teach someone how to do something, or if you just want to have a go at doing something different for yourself, then they are available.
That's great. Okay, we have another last question, and then we'll move on to that last little bit before we get shut off from this Zoom meeting. Can you buy a selection of threads for the long arm machines wholesale? So this actually leads us into the offers that you have for attendees. And you have some special pricing for long armers with an ABN through the Wonderfil Australia website.
Yes, so they need to contact, probably best if they contact us directly, and then we can do an order from there. But you have to have an ABN, and probably the best one to do would be to email sales@wonderfil.com.au.
Thank you. And when I send you, everybody that's on this today will get a follow-up email, and there's a replay page so we can watch the replay, and on there will be 2 buttons which will take you to, or give you some instructions, but take you to both Wonderfil Australia's website to have a look around, actually, and to Asta and Ann. Sorry, that one goes to Asta and Ann. And with Asta and Ann, you've given a 10% discount for the next 3 days. If you want to purchase any patterns or kits. Yep. And the second button is for anybody that wants to purchase any of the Wonderfil Threads retail. Constantine Quilts, which is my other business, is doing the same deal, 10% discount on any of the 8 full ranges that I stock. I don't have Deco Bob up there, but I do have some pre-wound bobbins, and I can special order in exactly what color you would like. So you can just pop an email through, but again, the instructions will be on the replay page where you can get access to all of these. And last of all, you want to show that one?
Very, very quickly, just brand new release. We've brought out these box sets, which have a spool of Invisifil, Deco Bob, Confetti, Fabulux, Spaghetti, Glamour, Mirage, and Spotlight in them. Tracey can get these. They come in 4 different colorways, so they are available if you want to have a go at just trying out a bunch of different threads.
Yeah. So that would be the ideal way of doing that is purchasing those. But if you have an ABN, contact Jen direct, and she'll set you up with a permanent discount to be able to. It's not pure wholesale, but it's certainly way better than retail if you've got an ABN. Okay, so that's that one. Now, lastly, today has been brought to you by Wonderfil Australia and also the Machine Quilting Academy. And I just wanted to chat a little bit more on Machine Quilting Academy. So hang on a minute, why it's not, let me stop sharing my screen.
Go back to you.
And go back to me. Why won't my, there we go. Now you can see me. Okay, so Machine Quilting Academy is a new venture, and it's been born from me, I guess, always wanting to see my customers succeed. I've always supported and mentored people every time they phone me, or I sell a machine, or I sell any products from my retail business. And I just love seeing other people having success with their machine quilting, and especially with their machine quilting businesses. So the Academy was born in my mind over 3 years ago when I was running the event, the Australian Machine Quilting Festival. And I knew at the time I was having health issues. And so I ended up selling that event. And hopefully that's going ahead this year with the new owners. Yay, fingers crossed, COVID allowing us. Yes, Jen will be there. And but in the meantime, well, as I said, 3 years ago, I was encouraged to come up with the concept of moving everything online and being able to provide the support that I've always done for nearly 20 years now, but to more people, to be able to reach more people. And I've been teaching online now for just over 12 months, specifically to IntelliQuilter owners. And now I wanted to broaden that to cover a lot more topics, from free motion skills to cover all brands of machines, to support you in business decisions and business discussions. We've had some fantastic Q&A, monthly Q&As, live meetings like this, but with everybody being able to talk about needles and threads and battings and how to deal with customers and any sort of frustrations you may have. There's still obviously a lot more to go. We're still fairly new, but at the moment, if you've watched this and you're a little bit interested, you can go to the website, and again in the replay page, or even, I'm not sure, even on the waiting page. No, it'll be on the replay page. You can click through to have a bit of a look around, and I'm offering 1 month's free subscription, so that you can check it all out and see whether this is something that's going to be helpful to you and your business. We already have about 65 members. A lot of these are very, very experienced machine quilters, right down to beginners who are just starting out. And everybody's so helpful and warm, and it's a very safe environment to in the community there to ask questions and get answers from people. And we know that there's no one way to do everything. It's what way is going to work for you. And as we do this, I'm gradually going to be adding more content, more courses. At the moment, it's primarily, there is a lot of IntelliQuilter information in there, purely because I'm repurposing what I've already done for a summit that I've been running for over 12 months, but in a slightly different format. But gradually, the very next course that I'm planning to create, hopefully later this week, is actually all about using Canva, how to produce your business cards, your memes, your brochures, your flyers. It's all about graphic design and how to use some free software for you to be able to use that. And you're creating your Facebook headers, your social media images, all that sort of things to help promote and market yourselves. So the Academy is all about helping and supporting you be the best that you can be. And if you feel that I can help you and other members can help you, then come and join in. But the more that you interact, the more that you're going to get out of it yourself. So again, on the replay, there will be a link on there. If you use that link, you'll get the first month free, whether you choose to do a monthly membership or an annual membership. It'll be the same discount for both. And you can cancel at any time. There's no commitments there. So or pop me an email if you need to ask further questions on that one. Okay, so that is probably it for today. Thank you so much to Jennifer for agreeing to do this and having a chat. Lovely to get to know you better. Now, for all those here in Australia, Jen's the one to go to if you're running a business or if you want to ask any more questions and see what's available in the US and Canada. And you can go to, okay, we have a question. Where do we order in the United States to have less shipping? You can go to wonderfil.ca. Is that the one? Yep. And you can order direct from the company there. In the UK, is there a dealer in the UK?
There is, yeah. Wonderfil.uk.co. Sorry, Wonderfil. That's really bad. It's wonderfil.co.uk.
Right. On the wonderfil.ca website, the Canadian website, and that's where Wonderfil is based, is in Canada. There is a list of suppliers. I know I'm on there for retail purchases. There's also, I believe, the list of distributors for businesses to go and purchase wholesale or with the long arm discount. There are two special rates for that. So take advantage of that. So go to the wonderfil.ca website to find your closest distributor to, make it a lot more affordable with you. Connor, you don't want to be buying from here in Australia. Definitely not. You can do it a lot cheaper over there. Sandra saying thank you for all the information, and everybody is hopefully gotten plenty out of this. Just checking any more questions. Nope, I think we're pretty much covered. Excellent. I hope you've enjoyed today. It's a new experience for us to work with the Zoom. I'm used to a different webinar platform. I've certainly learned a few little tricks here today. So I hope everyone has a wonderful Monday here in Australia, or wonderful Sunday evening for those in North America. And I'm not even sure what time it is in the UK. But it could be pretty late, I think, pretty late at night over there. Yes. So thank you for all those. We've had quite a few that's hung around for the entire event, and we certainly appreciate you being involved and wanting to learn more and to meet the lovely Jennifer more.
Thank you.
Well, thank you everybody.
So yes, thank you. I'm going to go play with 4 pallets of thread now.
Oh, that's too tempting. Bye, everybody. Have a wonderful day or evening.